Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a real news article and breaking it down to learn powerful English vocabulary and key economic terms. Understanding news English can feel overwhelming, especially when articles are packed with technical words. So in this video, I'll explain few terms in simple language and show you how to use them in everyday communication. The news article talks about India posting a 6-quarter high GDP growth of 8.2%. Let's break down some of the important vocabulary and technical terms you'll hear. First, the phrase 6-quarter high simply means the highest level seen in the last 6 quarters, that is, a period of 1.5 years. It's a way of comparing today's growth to previous performance. Next, GDP stands for Gross Domestic Product. It's the total value of all goods and services produced in a country. When the article says GDP grew at 8.2%, it means the economy expanded by that percentage compared to the same period last year. You'll also see Q2, which means the second quarter of the financial year, in this case, July to September. The article notes that Q2 growth was buoyed by manufacturing and services, meaning these sectors supported or lifted the overall growth. Another important term is real GDP growth rate. Real GDP removes the effects of inflation, giving a clearer picture of actual economic activity. In contrast, nominal GDP growth includes inflation. So when the article mentions a relatively low nominal growth rate of 8.7%, it means prices didn't rise as much, making the underlying output look slightly weaker. The article also talks about a low GDP deflator. A GDP deflator is a measure used to adjust nominal GDP into real GDP. A low deflator means inflation is being measured as very low, which can make real GDP look stronger than it actually is. You may also notice the phrase broad-based growth. This means growth occurred across several sectors, not just one or two isolated areas. However, economists warn that some of this growth comes from a low base effect. This means the previous year's numbers were unusually low, so the current increase looks bigger by comparison. The article mentions public administration, defense and other services. This sector includes government spending, and its growth rate of 9.7% was described as quite surprising, especially because the government's non-interest revenue expenditure had actually fallen sharply. When the government says the data is encouraging and reflects pro-growth policies and reforms, these are political phrases signaling that policy measures are working according to them. On the other hand, the opposition calls the data ironic and questions its accuracy, pointing out that the IMF recently gave India's national accounts a grade of C. This phrase, questions the data, means they doubt the reliability of the statistics. The term gross fixed capital formation, or GFCF, also appears. This is a measure of investment in things like machinery, buildings, and infrastructure. When critics say there has been no upswing in GFCF, they mean private investment isn't rising, which could limit long-term growth. Finally, you'll hear non-interest revenue expenditure. This refers to government spending on things other than paying interest on debt, such as salaries, subsidies, and programs. A drop in this spending can affect growth in public services. These terms are essential to understanding how economies are measured and how governments interpret the data. By learning vocabulary like real GDP, base effect, deflator, and broad-based growth, you gain the tools to understand both the news and the economics behind it. That's our vocabulary breakdown for today's news article. If this helped you understand the news better and improved your English along the way, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more daily English from the news lessons. If you have any doubts or want me to explain a word more clearly, just drop your question in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.